So 8 months ago, I decided to quit my office job, use all my savings to pursue my passion for beauty and makeup and become a full-time content creator, especially a creator here on YouTube. And I just want to talk about how this has been going for me, all the lessons I've learned along the way. I know some of you have wanted an update since my last video, sharing how I got to this point. And I don't think there's enough people talking about how creators and entrepreneurs and self-employed people can do this from a really sustainable way that feels like you're igniting your energy and creativity and preserving your energy and creativity, because it's not just about chasing trends, burning yourself out, trying to do it all. And I think that there's something to be said for doing this in a really sustainable and mindful way. And I find there's a lot of processes I've learned for how to do this that I want to share with you guys. So I hope this video is inspiring for any creatives who are either on a similar journey, the same journey, or just anybody looking to find more moments of joy, mindfulness, and creativity, especially when it seems like there's so much going on in the world and it's hard to keep up and work is crazy, life is crazy. I feel like there's some lessons I've learned along the way I'd like to share and just be fully transparent about how this is going. Have I made any money? Can I make this a career? So let's get into it. I'm going to do my makeup. So you'll see how I create this makeup look. And yeah, let's see how this 8 months, almost a year of YouTube has been going for me. So if you're curious about any of the products I'm using as I go about this get ready with me, I'll link them down below. I'm not really going to be talking about them too much. For a quick recap, for anybody who wasn't here at the time or hasn't seen the video where I was talking about my journey to decide to quit my job at this time of my life, really it came from a really deep feeling of dissatisfaction. I found working for other people, and I'd worked in different kinds of job settings, from being a server to working in digital marketing. And there were things I really didn't like about committing so much time to working for other people, and even just the culture of work in general, and like dedicating a very specific amount of one's time to work, and usually that involving most of your day, and a lot of it sitting at a desk, and it just felt so monotonous to me. And I'm a creative person, and I was really searching for ways to hone my creative skills and like make a living off of them somehow, which really eventually brought me to YouTube and my love for makeup and community and beauty in kind of all its forms. Really, for me, a huge part of this decision and this journey and this continued journey is the need for time affluence. I actually hadn't heard of this term until recently when I was listening to a podcast. Ologies, by the way, if you haven't checked it out. And they were interviewing somebody who was like an expert on happiness. And for adults, especially, like a lot of the ways we find like everyday joy and happiness is when we do feel a sense that our time is our own. And I had been like really realizing that over the past couple years, especially like after pandemic and how things just move so quickly back into like work culture and go, go, go. I just really realized how much I like really need my time to be my own. And having time when you're feeling sick, to honor that, having time anytime you're in your cycle as a woman, like making sure you have the time to rest when you need. And I just found I was worried about starting a whole career where my time wasn't my own. And I was just not prepared to settle for that. One of the biggest things I have found throughout this past few months is that, yes, time affluence makes a huge difference. I've really enjoyed so far being able to wake up when I need, when my body needs, getting the sleep I need, and not being around a tight schedule like as with 9 to 5. I like being able to spread my work throughout the week when it makes sense for me. If I want to take a workout class at a certain time, I can accommodate that. If I need to take my dog to the groomer, I can accommodate that. weekends aren't just for play, you know? Play is when I feel like it. Like, it's like I'm scattering my hours throughout the week randomly. And I really like that. I really like being able to be like, okay, at this hour, at this day, what makes sense for me? I have found, as I suspected, time affluence is really, really important for me. I'm a little envious, and I've said this before, of people who don't have this desire. And honestly, it's one of the reasons I'm not sure I'm cut out to have kids, because that's a sacrifice of one's time affluence. And I'm definitely not prepared to make that now. I think everybody has kind of different barometers for how much they need to like feel at peace. As an introvert, I find I need a lot of it. And that's okay. You know, I feel like there's a bit of self-judgment that comes up when you're like, why do I need so much time to chill? Kind of. But it's more than that. Like I said, it's the time to do things when I want to and making my own schedule. So far, I'm going to tell you that that has been great. And that's been one of my favorite parts of this time I've taken for myself. So if you're somebody who has been on kind of a similar journey, or like you're at that point where you are feeling really dissatisfied with your job, or just in general, like what your everyday looks like, I feel like finding those moments to have time that is truly your own for whatever you need for your well-being, trying to find those moments when you need them and not when like everything else dictates that you can have them. I think starting to find those little moments is really important to finding some personal peace. And if you are thinking about embarking on an entrepreneurial journey, just know that you can find those moments a lot more naturally than when you're stuck in a schedule. The next thing I want to talk about is like all the trial and error I've been through as I've been like experimenting a little bit with my content, with what I enjoy offering and what at the same time you guys enjoy, and how I've found that balance, how that process has gone, because it is a process, and it's an ongoing process. I feel like it forever will be. I've realized there is a certain magic that happens when you start to find a niche and content that you love and your audience loves. It creates this like symbiotic relationship that feels like very rewarding. And that, I think, is what you may want to focus on in any kind of creative career, is like what makes it feel rewarding for you. When I was kind of first starting this, it was around June, late May. I definitely like started taking off with the channel a little bit more with a Bridgerton look. And Bridgerton had just come out, and I was kind of planning this look, and it helped me reach a broader audience. And I really love Bridgerton, and it was something that was trending too, so it was kind of a convenient time. Yeah, that was a trial that told me, okay, when I really love a show and when it's like a hot topic, this is a great opportunity for me to put something out there that's going to inspire others. I did Penelope's makeup, a couple other characters, and it was really fun. Then I started feeling like I was like pigeonholing myself. I'm like, oh, should I just be offering content that's kind of like this, like just recreating looks from movies, or really kind of conventional makeup too, in a way? I sort of started experimenting with that some more. I'll tell you more about how that journey went with like what types of content, but like I started to land on something a little bit, like recreating some movie makeup and connecting with people who really enjoyed that and were inspired by Bridgerton. It was really fun, and it was a great place to kick off. That experience almost started to pigeonhole me more in like, oh, I should only do things when they're trending. And like I went on a bit of a like, what does the algorithm want right now? Like I have to make sure like I'm doing this at the right time, and like what's trending right now. And I did do a video talking about the algorithm and how I'm rejecting the algorithm from now on, to a certain extent, because I did see traction when I did something at the time that was trending. And I kind of started to try that. And immediately, like, I felt it in my body. I was like, I don't like this. I'm starting to lose my interest in this because I'm seeing people on TikTok do something. It's like, maybe I should try that. It quickly became clear that it didn't make me feel good. And I didn't really find it was helping me. And I didn't really like spend months like trying every TikTok trend, but there was like a few things I was experimenting with. Like one thing, for example, was when you're a content creator, there's this pressure to get content everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, even Threads, even, I don't know. Is there a new app yet? But I was like condensing a lot of my YouTube videos into short form content. So something I would spend, an hour filming that had a lot of like nuanced conversations and detailed advice, condensing that into a minute and a half so it was digestible on TikTok, Instagram. I hated doing that. Even though I got a bit of traction there, I hated it. Like, I wasn't communicating the message I wanted when trying to like condense something into so short a time and trying so hard to serve this other app, TikTok, Instagram. So I found I really had to shift my focus with the type of content and like, okay, I really like the long form content when I can do long form content. When I do short form content, it's its own thing. And it's more like playing with the music elements of like creating a reel, a bit more of a vibe rather than trying to condense everything I've said in an hour into a minute and a half. I also realized I really didn't like doing clickbaity types of titles. Like a lot of people will recommend on YouTube, like make sure you're really like, almost like shouting in people's faces. And I've used that expression a lot in conversations like this, but sometimes it feels like that. Like you'll see these thumbnails like boom, 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 and it can work, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my values. I don't like it. I don't like how it looks. And quickly that was something I was like, okay, I'm like saying no to this. I'm categorizing this into like not for me. Yeah, it's really important to discover the things that feel right for you. And that's so integral to making sure that your entrepreneurial journey, your content creating journey, your creative journey remains sustainable, because you don't want to be burning out your energy doing things that feel inauthentic to you, chasing the algorithm, chasing trends. And frankly, this is advice for everybody on everything. When it comes to your personal style, chasing trends, chasing every new thing, not sustainable. Literally not sustainable for the environment. And our obsession with every new clothing trend. And it's hard not to shake that desire for constant growth and constant new. And it's just embedded in us because of capitalism that things always have to be going up, 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 more, more, more. So yeah, I just feel like it's really important. Just like try, see what you like, give it a shot, then start to find what you like, because you will find there's something that happens when you put out content or creations that you enjoy creating, and then you start seeing it build your audience and they enjoy seeing it. So for example, with the Kitchener essences, I did a whole series. I had so much fun with that. It was such a fun deep dive into like personal style. It made me feel empowered. I felt like I was sharing something with people, like valuable information that was also just fun. And then in particular, this video about oniric essence, which is kind of like a soft goth aesthetic. Like it didn't go viral, but it took off in enough of a way. I know a lot of you have found me that way, and it's sort of awakened something in me, like because it was so fun and so many people resonated with it. So it was like starting to realize that there's a spark that happens when you start to have these conversations with people, and it's a feedback loop, and you've created something that people are vibing with and that is inspiring to them. And so that really wasn't too long ago, but that video has helped me see how my audience can grow faster than it had been previously. It showed me how I can start to get a little bit more income, even from like a couple videos that do well. And that's through YouTube AdSense. And I will be breaking down how it's been going for me, like financially, a little bit later. Yeah, it's like kind of a bit of magic happens. And I think you have to do that trial and error and acknowledge when things don't work for you. And even if they're working for you, like on a algorithm level, are they working for you personally? People can apply that to a lot of things in one's life, whether it's your relationships or whatever. Like, are you getting that magic feedback loop? So this brings me to my next point of what I've discovered, which is don't chase virality. Stop trying to be viral. Stop trying to see growth like this. It could happen, but there's pros and cons to when it doesn't. And of course, there are pros when it does, but you can really protect your creativity and build a really amazing audience when it's done slower and and without feeling like you're chasing this idea of going viral and things taking off like crazy. And yeah, I do think that there are some cons that people don't always discuss about going viral. And I can't say that anything I've done has gone extremely viral. Apparently that's like 1 million views. I mean, I have had like a couple things get really good traction on Instagram over the years, but I think I had one post see like over 1 million views. But anyway, when you go viral really quickly, especially before you've had time to establish really who you are and having gone through the trial and error of like what you want to offer as an entrepreneur, as a content creator, you may find yourself with a huge audience of people who are kind of all over the place and might be giving you those numbers in the initial moment, but might not be a very curated audience, which has its own value. It's great to have numbers, especially when you're looking at brand deals, when you're looking at getting more traction. And I do hope that I have some videos that go viral one day, like I do. But when you have that time to do the trial and error, finding the magic, when you do have videos that do well and you've already been through this process and you've already established who you are, who you want to attract, then when that happens, it's kind of like what you created and put out there is like more aligned with who you are and what you're offering. So yeah, expecting to go viral right away is unsustainable and it could lead you in the wrong direction. Sometimes I wonder about bigger creators, and I'm not going to name names, but like I have seen very young people go viral on TikTok and kind of end up losing a lot of their audience and connection with people because they got so big so young, and it's almost like they weren't ready for it. They didn't do the journey many of us just do through life when you go through your 20s and you're not that successful and you're not making money. It's like the curse of the child celebrity. Yeah, just like enjoying that slower process and accepting that it's more natural than things going viral. The earth tells us this with the way plants grow. It doesn't happen all at once. If it's viral, it's a virus, you know? Growth takes time. A tree takes time. And you go through cycles of winter and spring. And I do think metaphors like this are very important because we don't use them enough in our everyday. Once again, because of capitalism. Once again, because of the rat race. But that's how things grow. That's how forests grow. Definitely enjoy that process and understand that it's integral to building something sustainable for you. That's what I've learned. There are a few ways I've also done this and like made sure I'm like keeping up with like what feeds me as a creative, and some things that have really helped me are like journaling and just like getting my thoughts out, creating mood boards when I'm like feeling a little bit like, how can I make this idea more cohesive? Like writing down all your ideas, like having like Google Keep on your phone where you can just like any random idea, like keeping the creative process flowing and going in that feedback loop with your audience. Someone has said, I don't know what the phrase is exactly, but when you make your passion your job, you're going to end up hating your passion. And I do think that can happen, but it also doesn't have to happen. And I think some of these steps towards creating a sustainable creative practice can help prevent that. You start to hate it when you feel like you have to do it. And in particular in this day and age, we often feel like we have to go viral. We have to follow trends to make it. We have to be on every single platform all the time. When I look at some creators like I look up to here on YouTube who are making it as their living, they're not necessarily posting constantly, you know? So there's some evidence right there, not all the evidence, but bear that in mind. And definitely don't get down on yourself when you have these times where you don't feel motivated, where you don't feel creative, because they are going to happen. Pause while I do my lips. Now I'm trying out the Cosmic Brushes Nude Trolls palette. Really excited. This is new to me and probably doing something pretty simple, but yeah, just want to get a little bit familiar with this palette for some future looks. Now I'm sure many of you want to know or are interested in, like, is this actually working for me in any way? Is there any money coming in? Like, can this be a job? And the answer has been yes. It's not me making millions of dollars yet. But I have seen some growth happening. I'll be fairly transparent with some of the numbers. Like, I think I got my channel monetized in May-ish, or maybe it was April, after my color seasons kind of took off a little bit. And so I would see like a little bit of money coming in, like $40. And I was like, whoa. Like back then I had maybe 3,000 followers or something. I was like, wow, okay. There is money there, like $40. Nice. And then throughout the summer, as I slowly built my audience and experimented, I started to see a little bit more money coming in. It was like $300 a month. And this is Canadian, by the way, Canadian dollars, like $300 a month. And then it was like $400 a month. I was like, okay, something's happening here. I feel grateful that YouTube actually pays its creators, and I'm seeing something happening. It's very promising. It kept me optimistic. I think October was like 600 Canadian. And then after that Oniric video got some good traction, and that was like around November, December. Both of those months, I made basically 1,000 Canadian through ad revenue. So 1,000 in November, 1,000 in December, which to me is like a decent amount of money. I don't have a mortgage right now, which sometimes I'm really upset that I might not own a house, or I can't own a house, but at the same time, there's a privilege in just renting right now. So I can cover my rent with $1,000. Just rent. But I'm used to spending a lot of my income on rent, just where I've been at in my life. So for me, that feels like a huge accomplishment, just covering rent. And my goal over the past year had been like, can I make my basic income through this? Can I, through my creative practice, make rent, bills, groceries, like bare minimum? Can I do that? And then I had 5 partnerships through November and December, which totaled about 3,000 Canadian. So November, December saw $5,000 come in through content creation. And I am still a small fish in a big pond. That has been like very promising to me, though I do sometimes get scared that this is just gonna flop, though I do get scared that I was a one-hit wonder and I got a couple $1,000 and that's it. I have to remain optimistic and keep reminding myself that back to the growth takes time, and I am seeing something happen enough that I made my basic expenses in November and December. I think through January, I'm seeing a dip. I don't have any partnerships lined up, and I'm accepting that. Right now, I'm accepting that as I'm still in this very much a learning process. But yeah, I just want to be really transparent with the numbers there, and you can see what my following's at. It's at 17K at the time of filming, which is ended January 2025. Maybe someone's watching this in 3 years. I don't know. And then a couple things happened that were also interesting that have made it possible for me to continue on this journey, at least for the foreseeable future. It's that the jobs I quit, both of them in October came back to me asking, will you come back? They were kind of coming back to me with like, what hours can you provide us? So it really gave me a good opportunity to think about like, should I say yes? What would it mean for me to say yes? So this is where I want to talk about like boundaries, protecting your creative energy, and just finding balance in your entrepreneurial journeys and your creative journeys. I did end up saying yes. One job is 8 hours a week, the other 10 hours a month. So it's very, very minimal, but it's enough, once again, to have this little bit of income I can fall back on, can pay my rent on it. I just had to be very clear though, like I am only working this amount of hours a week or month. I am only doing 1 day in the office. The other stuff will be work from home. And I've actually found that I've never had a better relationship with my like old workplaces than with these boundaries being set up and me like being like, no, I'm not taking, after hours calls or anything outside of the days I have set. And there was a couple of times where it seemed like, oh, can you do this time? It's like, no. and calmly. These are my boundaries. Previously, I think I really struggled with this because I would kind of just take calls and emails at any time. And that's when I start to get really scattered energy. So this allows me to have like that, backup income while protecting my time and energy to do this and continue to do this. And there's also definitely like a kind of security feeling, knowing that worst comes to worst, like I could end up picking up some more hours, at least at one of these places if I need, rather than I was nervous about this time of year, knowing when I would be like kind of at the end of my money if I wasn't making any money. I was like, oh my God, if like this doesn't work out at all and I've quit these jobs, what next? Like, where am I going to go? So I really feel lucky to have like this now safety net, that it's also a place where now I have firm boundaries. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I hope in time I can fully like spend time on content creation again, like 100%. But it's also nice to kind of get out of your head as creatives. I mean, creative people, I think, tend to like overthink things sometimes. And getting into the office and focusing on something else has been kind of a nice break because the hours are so minimal and I can set them. Like if I can't make it that day, if I'm sick, I can just shift it around. There's no problem there. So yeah, boundaries. Boundaries protect your creative energy, and finding that kind of balance can be really helpful to feel a safety net. And that goes for other aspects of your life. Like outside of work, I've just found it's really important to make sure I'm getting out because I work from home. I found a new exercise this year, which was going to pole class. That has been so important for my mental health. It honestly gets me out of my head. If I've ever had a bad day or gotten down on myself about this journey, and it does happen. I'm not going to lie. There's been a few times I'm like, what am I doing? That happens. And then I have this space where I can like really reset, get into my body, get out of my head. It happens when you get outside, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, see your friends. I think like my final point I want to say really is like find that balance. Make sure you're investing in other parts of your life too. When you're trying to make it as a creative, it can feel like that can be so much of your focus. And I've definitely like been there and will be there again. So yeah, finding that balance is really integral. And just in general, finding things that light you up. Like I said, like I've been doing pole class, it really excites me. I love going there. And the content I've been doing lately, it really excites me. And you guys seem to really like it too. And just finding those moments of things lighting you up and magic. And I think some of these lessons I've learned are like a process to get there. So I hope this has been interesting to hear about. I'm going to pop off camera, do my lashes, and give you kind of some final thoughts. And yeah, I'll be one moment. And here is the finished look with lashes. I hope that hearing some of these thoughts and things I've learned over the past few months has been maybe inspiring to some of you or helpful for anyone on their own career journeys or journeys towards happiness, because that's what we're all kind of aiming for at the end of the day. And yeah, I just feel like there really is something important about questioning the way we're expected to see our career growths, especially as entrepreneurs in the modern world, online, and understand that success isn't achieved just through money. A lot of it is finding your affluence in other ways, your time affluence, your boundaries, your joy. These are really the ways we measure success, especially when we look back on our lives. So just know that this is a journey that's ever shaping, ever changing, and you can learn a lot of valuable lessons. And I certainly have. Yeah, I really look forward to seeing what the coming year brings for me, and just like continuing on this YouTube journey with you guys, because it's been really lovely just finding an audience that I find I really resonate with your guys' thoughts. And it's definitely been this feedback loop of just like of energy, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely looking forward to continuing. And I will be. So yay. And yeah, that's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. Dogs can teach us some valuable lessons. Do you ever see how often they sleep? Cats, dogs, creatures in the wild, they sleep a lot and we don't. We don't rest enough. So make sure to rest. Make sure to find your moments of joy and time to yourself throughout the day. Yeah, that's it for today. Until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of magic, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.